Is there any chance in your mind that maybe enough time has passed that it won't be so bad? It'll be in Philly? Come on now.
Happy Thanksgiving week, everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Hoops and Chill with Candice Evans. This is an awesome week aside from it being Thanksgiving week. We're also going to have 2 episodes this week, today and Black Friday, with our first sponsor, Unapologetic Sports, giving us an unapologetic special. What's more Thanksgiving-y than 2 episodes with me, messy reunions, and heated rivalries? On today's episode, we're going to focus on college hoops, and then we're going to dive into the premier matchups of this glorious feast week. That's the primary focus of today. But I could not go without talking about the Nets-Philly matchup popping off tonight at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That is the messiest matchup of the week. And here on Hoops and Chill, we love messy storylines and live for beef. Before we touch any of that, we're going to dive into headlines from last week. Candace Parker is returning for her 16th season in the WNBA after contemplating retirement. Parker will be running it back with the 2021 world champion Chicago Skies, where they will be one of the heavy favorites, if not the favorite, to win it all. Damian Lillard is out indefinitely following a calf strain. Tyrese Maxey is out 3 to 4 weeks following a fracture in his left foot. The Philadelphia 76ers are already without James Harden, just kind of thinning out their whole backcourt now. Stephanie White has put ink to paper, officially becoming the head coach of the Connecticut Sun. The Sun are coming off their second finals appearance in 4 years, losing to the Las Vegas Aces this year in 4 games. Kurt Miller, who was their coach and one of my favorites, left them to join the LA Sparks early in October. Brittany Griner has been moved to a penal colony in Mordovia, which is about 210 miles east of Moscow, to serve her 9-month sentence. There is still hope that Griner will be part of a prisoner exchange between U.S. and Russia. In July, the Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, and Biden administration said that they are in discussions with Russia to swap Griner and Paul Whelan, another American imprisoned in the country, for a not yet named Russian prisoner held in the U.S., even though a lot of them think it's James Boot. Hall of Fame assistant coach Chris Daly has been released from the hospital after fainting on the court prior to her UConn women's Huskies contest against NC State. After the game, head coach Gino Auriemma said that she was fine and there was nothing serious, nothing threatening. She texted the team following their game to let them know that she was fine and apologized for the drama. Daly has been with Auriemma since he took over in 1985. She's filled in for him 13 times and has never lost, including the first 2 rounds of the 2021 NCAA tournament when he was sidelined with COVID-19. Daly was inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in 2018, one of the first ever assistant coaches to earn that honor. And while everyone's saying she's fine, it's still a very scary thing to happen, and I'm hoping that she is doing well and has a speedy recovery. Looking to up your shoe game this holiday season? Run over to Unapologetic Sports on Instagram for custom Air Force Ones and NBA sneaker designs. Doesn't matter your team or shoe size, Unapologetic has you covered to be a fan in the most unapologetic fashion. Again, that's unapologetic_sports on Instagram to build up your custom Air Force One collection this holiday season. The Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers play tonight in Philly. This will be Ben Simmons' first time playing against his former team, whom he basically ghosted. There is so much that goes into this matchup that actually doesn't even involve basketball, and I am so excited. I knew from day one that Ben Simmons and the Sixers weren't going to work out. On a basketball note, he's a slasher without a J. Joel Embiid, at his best, lives in the paint. The two can't coexist at a high level. When you look at the other stuff that comes with Ben, it was clear he was always going to be a headache for any team. Dude was a 5-star out of high school or prep school, whatever, and then committed to LSU. That's in the SEC. As a major recruit playing in a major conference, it is damn near child's play to make the NCAA March Madness tournament. Child's play, okay? So you can have a crappy out-of-conference record, but as long as you go, 500 in conference and win a game or 2 in the conference tournament, the selection committee is always going to give big schools the benefit of the doubt. It's just how it goes. It's the perk of being at a Power 5. Ben didn't get to the tournament. Literally had one job and couldn't deliver. And the Sixers still, without a second thought, drafted him number 1 overall. Okay, I guess. I guess. It's a team sport, and maybe his team that had other 5 stars, maybe that team wasn't good enough. I guess. He doesn't play his rookie year, and they still gave him a max rookie extension. Okay, I guess. When he plays, he is terrified to shoot, and Sixers go out early, consistently. That's okay, I guess. The last straw was Philly's second round upset to the Atlanta Hawks. Don't get me wrong, Ben played awful. He passed up open lanes and layups and even airballed some free throws every game, it feels like. Dude was bad, but he wasn't the only one. Tobias Harris was a complete no-show on both ends. I can confidently say that Ben generally provides NBA all-defense caliber defense when he plays. I can't say what could Tobias contributed in that series. Joel Embiid played well for most of the series until the fourth quarter of Game 7. As a team, they all sucked at Game 7 fourth quarter. I even put some blame on Doc Rivers. And afterwards, Joel and Doc, another guy known for coming up short in the second round, basically tossed Ben under the bus. Take a listen.
Hey, Joel, what was the moment for you personally tonight where your belief in what you had in terms of this being the Sixers' year turned to the recognition that it just wasn't going to happen?
Man, I'll be honest. I thought the turning point was, when we, I don't know how to say it, but I thought the turning point was just, we had an open shot, and we made one free throw, and we missed the other, and then they came down and scored, and we didn't get a good possession on the other end, and Trey came back and he made a 3, and then from there down 4, and then he's on me. I turn the ball over and try to make something happen from the perimeter, but I thought that was a turning point.
Hey, Doc, do you think Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become?
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now. So I don't know the answer to that.
What do you, when you say get in the gym with him, what needs to be done? I mean, obviously, this is fresh.
Yeah, that's between Ben and I.
Thank you.
Okay, so see, when I heard that in the moment, back then, it was over a year ago, when I first heard that, I was like, that's pretty shitty. Dude still played for the team, came out every night and attempted to stop Trae Young. If you thought that he wasn't a championship caliber point guard, keep it to yourself. Have a team meeting. Hell, trade him. But don't blast him in the public when he's still on your team, because at the end of the day, especially talking to Doc Rivers, you could have benched him down the stretch. You're the coach. You have agency. You didn't use it, which is why teams you coach have meltdowns in the playoffs constantly. Now, where I stopped defending Ben is when he decided not to show up for training camp. He stopped returning their calls and was out and about with British model Maya Jama. Jama? So he refused to play that season, sitting out the entire year, even after Philly found a dummy to take them in the Brooklyn Nets. With the Nets, he has struggled early, but is coming into form, I think. He had a pair of 25-point games and is looking like a force on the defensive end when he doesn't foul out. It is worth noting he did have back surgery and looks like he doesn't want contact at times, likely because of that surgery. But then there are times he looks disinterested, the same stuff that was happening at LSU and with Philly. There are a lot of times in sports that a team fails a player. And in those instances, I support the player. Cleveland, for the first 7 years when y'all were burning your jerseys, the team failed LeBron. They didn't have a second elite player. Who was it? So he leaves. He goes to Miami. They get terrible in like 10 minutes. He comes back and saves them again. Kevin Garnett, Minnesota. He had a right to leave. They failed him. Anthony Davis with the Pelicans. I mean, Yeah, they had Drew Holiday, but he's not a real B. If he was, the Bucks wouldn't have gone out the way they did last year. I mean, who did AD have? I will always support the player. A young man that comes into the NBA at like 18, 19 years old. He's worked his butt off. He's a top pick. He goes to a bad team, and the owner and the executives fail him. But Ben Simmons isn't one of those cases. He's mad at Philadelphia fans for being who everyone knew them to be. They're crazy. Them, New York, Boston, LA, they're crazy. Hell, I grew up in LA, born and raised. We are crazy. Do them wrong, you'll never hear the end of it. Play for them, give them your all, learn how to make free throws. They'll worship you. It's not that hard to comprehend. They draft him and he misses the entire first season. All right, not his fault. And then they give him a max extension. All right, kind of the GM's fault. They did that despite the fact that he can't shoot and is a point guard. In that position, you generally low-key have to be able to shoot. And then they go out their way to try to make it work. They hire the deal-making general manager in Daryl Morey and probably the most player-friendly coach, Doc Rivers. And that's still not good enough. Hell, at one point they brought in Jimmy Butler and Ben couldn't get along with him. He had Seth Curry. He had Robert Covington. Hell, he had JJ Redick. They gave him a stellar backup with TJ McConnell, and all of that did not work. It was not good enough. Those fans who spend their money to make the franchise, the money it makes, that ends up back into the players' pockets, those fans, those people, they have the right to be pissed. The player failed in that instance. So far, the player failed. On a strictly basketball note, however, I wouldn't be shocked if the Nets blow Philly. KD is in a groove. Patty Mills, Seth Curry, Joe Harris, they're shooting well. Hell, Watanabe is trying to win the most improved player of the year right now. He is leading the NBA in three-point percentage, and like, who would have guessed? And I will say Ben is finding his way back. He's starting to look like 1/3 of his old self. Philly's going to be without James Harden, Tyrese Maxey, and likely Joel Embiid. All they're going to have is Tobias Harris and their rowdy crowd. Now, I will say the rowdy crowd clearly holds some rank because they kind of spooked Ben out of an entire city. But I don't think that's going to be enough to beat Brooklyn tonight. The Phoenix Suns are looking like the favorites out of the West once again. They are currently a half game out of the first seed in the West, which is currently occupied by the Utah Jazz. I think I speak for everyone when I say the Suns are a much more serious threat in the playoffs than the Jazz. With that being said, I am not and will never be sold on Phoenix. And when I think about Phoenix, it makes me think about the MCU. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is currently crushing the box office right now, as does like every Marvel film. This movie is being considered on par with the original Black Panther, which literally broke records. Some saying it might be better. I saw it. I nearly cried. I am a believer in Ryan Coogler experience. Like, dude is great. Now, will any of the actors, or even Ryan Coogler, will any of them receive Academy recognition? Probably not. The MCU has put out like 30 plus films and have walked away with 0 Oscars in major categories. They aren't getting nominated like that. They are a fun spectacle that gets everyone worked up throughout the year and get people talking. But when it comes down to award season, we're talking about Top Gun Maverick, the Don't Look Ups of the world. Movies a lot of us never even heard of, like Coda, Minari. That's the lane that the Phoenix Suns are in right now. They are crushing the regular season. If they go on to have the best record this season, I wouldn't even be shocked. They have the big, they have the defenders, they have the guys who could score it at 3 levels, and they have a coach to bring it all together. In the regular season, they look like runaway favorites. But then the playoffs roll around, and minor technicalities, little details that were overlooked during the fast-paced regular season are exposed. Chris Paul struggles to defend on ball at this point of his career. DeAndre Ayton can't consistently punish smaller teams down low. Devin Booker can't handle a trap. These things are magnified when real contenders roll around. You compare a Marvel film to an Oscar award-winning film, and it's like, man, why didn't I go see this? Moonlight was great. Why didn't I see this? Why was I watching Civil War? Moonlight changed my outlook on life for like 5 minutes. Civil War pissed me off for like 2. The Suns don't have the same team defense as the Boston Celtics. And I don't think they have the same 1-2 punch. I don't think Chris Paul and Devin Booker are Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They don't have the same monster leading the pack like the Bucks do. And they don't have the same length across the board like the Bucks. Hell, with everything going in flames in the Bay, I still think Golden State in 5 in an actual 7-game series if they were to play the Phoenix Suns. Devin Booker is good. He isn't great. Not yet. Chris Paul is good, but he has never shown to be great in the playoffs. Ayton is solid when he wants to be there, and that is always up in question. The Suns are a fun spectacle for the regular season, but I wouldn't make any bets on them walking out with Larry O'Brien. What block raised you? Whether you grew up on the streets of Crenshaw or on the drives of Rodeo, Avenues and Boulevards have you covered on all your street style needs. Go to avesandboulevards.com to shop streetwear styles by Tennessee State alum Andre Edwards. That's Avs, A-V-E-S, the letter N, Boulevard, BLVD.com to get your streetwear style. This year's college basketball top 25 on the women's side has been kind of underwhelming. Since 2017, the field has felt wide open after the reign of terror by UConn's women. This year, it feels like it's South Carolina, Stanford, and then everybody else. Like UConn is right there, but looking at them compared to those big bodies over there with Don Staley and the masterful offense coming out of Stanford, I'm not sure they're there yet. The biggest letdown for me has been Tennessee women's basketball. They opened the year ranked 5th in the nation and had a fabulous recruiting class. 6 games in, and they're 2-4, losing to Gonzaga yesterday in a game where they got every call imaginable down the stretch and got away with just about every over-the-back and hand check they could have begged for. And that's normal when a mid-major is playing, just trying to upset the premier Power 5. That's just how it goes. Tennessee is arguably the most historic women's basketball program in NCAA history. So for them to be under 500 this early and lose the way they've been losing, something's off. They used to be known for having grit and heart. One of those teams you had to kill off 12 times before they were really dead. They were always the biggest team, the most physical team, and they played like they knew they were the better team. Now they have the height, but without the consistent physicality. They have the skill set, but the IQ ain't matching. They had the ranking, but they don't have the grind to keep it. Down the stretch, Gonzaga looked like the team who's been there, done that. They made all the right plays, never got frazzled, even when the whistles went against them, and even got stops in the backcourt. That is so wild to me because as a BCS team, you have multiple 5 stars. You get the top transfers out the transfer portal. And you struggled with a man-to-man press down the stretch. That's nearly unheard of, but that's how Gonzaga pulled off the upset. After this week, Tennessee shouldn't be ranked. Will they? Well, probably because they're Tennessee. But the culture that was built by Pat Summitt is gone. And honestly, it's been gone for a while. And that was hard to watch. And I think it's hard for the basketball community as a whole to accept. Okay, so Tennessee, everything I just said, they can clean it up. Feast week still continues. They have another game Friday and Sunday. They win those 2 games, they could probably stay in the top 25. But as Feast week continues Wednesday, we're going to be looking at Missouri taking on 14th ranked Virginia Tech. Missouri doesn't have much size and usually relies on spreading teams out and hitting open J's, something that's actually worked once a year against South Carolina. But Virginia Tech should still get a win easily. It's another game where their 6'4", likely this year All-American star Elizabeth Kitley should be able to get off. Utah takes on Ole Miss on Wednesday. They are currently ranked 25th in the nation, and with Tennessee crashing and burning, they can move up with a clean sweep this week. On Thanksgiving Day, North Carolina takes on 21st ranked Oregon, a game that could be very pivotal for UNC. They made a good run in the tournament last year, and they have the pieces to be a ranked team this year. A win over Oregon will definitely put them in that conversation. However, in order to get a win over Oregon, they're going to have to neutralize Oregon's point guard, Tahina Papau. She is literally the head of the snake. She is, in my opinion, their best player. because not only can she kill you with her scoring, but she can also get everyone involved. She is the smartest player on the court whenever she steps on the court. And if North Carolina wants to shock the world, they're going to have to find a way to stop her. 7th ranked Iowa State takes on Michigan State in a game where I expect Iowa, to run away with it. I don't think it's going to be close. I think Iowa State's going to quickly jump out to a lead and never look back. There are tons of games on Black Friday, the biggest being NC State versus West Virginia and UConn versus Duke. NC State is coming off a spanking at the hands of UConn. They need a win to not only stay in the top 10, currently ranked 10th, but they also just need to get back on track. You don't want UConn hangover spilling into winnable games. UConn is looking to possibly jump Stanford, and a sweep during Feast Week is the way to do it. Sunday are the championship games based on the outcomes of this week's slate. Friday, we'll definitely dive into the possible scenarios and the games to go to the championship. On the men's side, number 10, Creighton takes on number 9, Arkansas. Tip off tonight at 5 p.m. Both teams are coming off double-digit wins, but Arkansas had a more dominant win yesterday over Louisville, who was this is the worst Louisville team I've ever seen. I mean, we're talking about Creighton and Arkansas, but oh my God, that Louisville team. Was it worth it getting rid of Rick Pitino? These are the questions we must ask ourselves when we see what I just saw last night with Louisville. I have never seen something like it. This could have been the most packed Maui Invitational, and Louisville just made it look pretty lackluster. So with that being said, Arkansas, they got to rest their starters for most of the second half. It was a runaway game by halftime. I would take Arkansas tonight against Creighton just because their starters got to rest most of the second half. In a 9-10 matchup, the game is going to be close and fatigue is going to play a role, especially late. Considering their starters basically got the night off yesterday, taking Arkansas. Number 17, San Diego State plays number 14, Arizona. They're tipping off right after Creighton and Arkansas. This game will be a close one, but I'm actually expecting San Diego State to pull off the mini upset. Wednesday is the day of ranked teams taking on unranked opponents. Number 3, Kansas is likely going to obliterate NC State. Number 7, Baylor is going to do the same to McNeese. I've never even heard of them. RIP to those men. Number 15, Kentucky is going to get their lick back on North Florida after getting absolutely whopped by Gonzaga. Number 11, Indiana is going to kill Little Rock. Now, Tennessee, they're ranked 22nd in the nation. They play a unranked Butler team. If anyone knows Butler, they know they are always well prepared. So Tennessee is a heavy favorite, but don't be shocked if Butler pulls off the upset. Number 19, UCLA plays Pepperdine. Lorenzo Omar, another fabulous coach. The Waves are going to be well prepared, but will likely get blown late just because they don't get the same type of recruits that UCLA gets. Number 18, Alabama, and number 12, Michigan State take stage on Thanksgiving, while Michigan State got ranked for their quality play against Gonzaga last week. I take Bama in this one. Watching Michigan State, they got a lot of favorable calls in that game. Their guard play was a little shaky. They would have won the game if their guard play IQ was a little higher. And if I'm going to go with I won't say undisciplined, but the out of control, up and down athletic teams, I'm actually going to take Alabama in this one. Friday is another scene of ranked versus unranked, and we'll get into that on our unapologetic special. That is all I have for you today. We will be back on Black Friday for our unapologetic special. Until then, and always be safe and make good bets.